Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. And in this video, I'm going to show you three things. And it is about crypto and XRP. First, why deep liquidity is tied to institutional investors. Second, why institutional investors need regulation. And third, how Ripple, moving to a regulatory crypto-friendly country, can achieve number one and number two. No, this video is not going to tell you, well, why doesn't Ripple just go live with ODL in the countries where clarity does exist? I think people who say that have forgotten the recent article and quote from Mr. Garlinghouse in August. He was talking about on-demand liquidity. So ODL, on-demand liquidity, is what uses the digital asset XRP as a bridge. And you can see that Ripple actually has throttled back the growth because, and I quote, one of the things that's important when using ODL is you have to have really good liquidity on both sides of the transaction. And so if XRP doesn't have enough liquidity in the marketplace, and you can't put as much demand through. So liquidity in this marketplace of crypto. Well, Bitcoin has the best liquidity. It is the most liquid crypto asset, and it does influence the price. I'm not saying that. You can do your own research. Liquidity does influence the price. It's the ease in which it can be bought and sold, and it's very liquid, which means there aren't discounts attached. So it's easy to enter and it's easy to exit the market when dealing with BTC. Liquid markets are deeper and smoother, and the increase in frequency and volume of trading helps enhance liquidity. The more it is used as a medium of exchange, the more liquid it becomes. I want you to listen to Ryan Zagone of Ripple, who really fought the good fight for 4 years and 9 months. Every day he went to battle. He was the director of regulatory relations. This is September 2018. You're going to hear that liquidity is critical. It was a weak point then, as it is still today. He was very optimistic at this time because he believed that the enterprise players, the big asset management companies, were coming. And yes, they have come. But as we have also seen, and I'm going to show you, it really has been for Bitcoin. And it really is because of the lack of regulatory clarity. Have a listen to Ryan here.
I mean, liquidity is critical. And I think right now it's the weak point. It's a weak point in many countries and in many assets. However, I think it's also underway of being solved. This move towards more enterprise players and the maturity of the existing exchanges. We're seeing exchanges step up and make strong investments in their infrastructure. All of those are signs towards enterprise-grade platforms, which will add to liquidity. I'll point out, even Thailand is a good example here of a leading APAC country. They've done a 180 from banning banks from using crypto to allowing financial institutions to leverage it as a payment tool. And then 2 weeks ago, they came out with additional guidance allowing banks to invest in crypto exchanges, like to run digital asset exchanges as a way to provide liquidity for those payments. So we're starting to see the very early tip of that start to happen.
So remember, liquidity isn't just one country. It has to have that liquidity on both sides of the transaction. So who is investing in this crypto asset space? Well, you can see that Grayscale Trust does handle a couple of different trusts, one with BTC, which is really on fire, and as well as an XRP trust. So the top 3 investment giants for Grayscale are ARK Investment, Kinetics, and Arcadios. And you can see here that the Rothschild investment, they just dipped their toe into the water 7 days ago with Grayscale's Bitcoin fund. And 8 hours ago, we see that Grayscale's CEO Barry Silbert is bragging that he added 300 million in a day and 1 billion this week. I want you to also now listen to Ryan speak just a few months after the last video we watched. This is January 2019. You're going to see that the regulatory certainty is a prerequisite for institutional adoption. The regulation becomes critical. And this is also a race globally for clarity to get that leg up. So I hope you can see the connection. Here we go on this portion here.
Regulatory certainty is a prerequisite for adoption. And as we've talked about today and in several other panels, there is a shift into the institutional sector. So regulation becomes critical there. It's regulatory clarity becomes critical there. What we're seeing internationally, so we have 100 clients covering a majority of the current highly traded currencies in the world today. These are real transactions that are happening. We're seeing a recognition globally that blockchain and crypto will play a critical role in future infrastructure for payments. How? It's still uncertain, but that it will play a role has become pretty clear. So there's become a race to provide that regulatory certainty to give countries a leg up. I sense there's a recognition that the future of finance is not guaranteed to be in the US anymore, but there is a global race to take that crown. You're seeing it in countries like Singapore. You're seeing it in the UK, which just last week laid out a multi-pronged effort to provide regulatory clarity for blockchain and crypto. You're seeing it in countries like Abu Dhabi and Thailand, who have created holistic frameworks for crypto to provide guidance on market activity, internal controls at companies, the type of licensing and risk management that needs to take place for institutional adoption. And some of these places, Abu Dhabi is leaning in because they want to be a leader in the Middle East. Thailand initially started from a place of concern about consumer protection, but moved to a place of recognizing there's potential. We need to have that balance between risk and innovation. Where we're at so there is a global race. You see it on payment infrastructure. For a long time, the U.S. dollar has been the global reserve, and the U.S. has been a primary player in that payment infrastructure. I think now people are competing. We heard a second ago from Josh about the early days of the internet. Countries are competing using the same play from our playbook. The U.S. won the internet race. We won it by putting forth holistic policy that covered electronic commerce and gave U.S. companies the leg up. That framework became globally adopted and it's still used today. So that leadership in the U.S. led us and gave us a competitive advantage. So that the major internet companies globally are U.S.-based. That was a key win that was policy-driven. These other countries are taking that same approach now. A holistic government framework that's multi-pronged, it's multi-regulator, that's creating that regulatory certainty.
I guess, Ryan, sometimes we fear a race to the bottom, but what you're describing is actually a race to the top.
It's a race to holistic, clear, strong regulation that protects markets, ensures market integrity and consumer protection, but also balances innovation. If it's really weak regulation, no one's going to go there because the company nor consumers are protected.
So I think it's quite clear for me that regulation creates those guardrails to attract entrants. And this is talking about those institutional investors. So workable regulatory framework is needed to keep the United States competitive, and regulation will bring new investors to XRP. The more investors, the better liquidity. The better liquidity, the more ODL corridors go live. This has nothing to do with, well, if Singapore and Thailand and Japan have clarity, why don't we just see the ODL being used? It's a matter of having adequate flows with these market makers, the exchanges, and this ease to enter and exit with trades. of XRP on a very high level, consistent level, dependable level. And no, this isn't about Ripple employees in San Francisco moving their families. This is about setting up a headquarter registry to a country that reduces risk for the investor. So Ripple's Breanne Madigan, she tells us right in this particular Team Ripple, June 16, 2020, why deep liquidity is the key to institutional investment. So institutional investors need this regulatory clarity. I think we see that very clearly now. Ripple needs to do what is necessary to make ODL successful. The number one reason, I think it's in order for their IPO story to be told. Why? Well, because those early investors want an ROI. They want a return on their investment. I think that the global IPO activity, which has rebounded sharply, hitting historic highs in Q3 2020, with technology leading the activity, this possible move that Ripple is considering will very well help the company achieve its goals in making XRP successful. That's my take, that's my opinion, and that's my hope for this digital asset. And if they do choose Japan to set up a small office and a small team, I'm sure Mr. Kitao is going to frown on their telework. Last Friday, he was interviewed and he said that he has a negative opinion about the active promotion of telecommuting. He thinks jobs that can be done remotely should be replaced with AI. He believes it's important for people to face each other directly. I don't know, you can call him old school, but you know, there is a lot of wisdom in the years of his doing business. All right, everybody, we're going to jump to some fluff. Remember, I showed you that Burger King was going to launch a new fake burger, and they pixelated the photographs so we couldn't tell exactly what it is that we would be eating if we chose to buy one of these fake burgers. Well, I guessed it was egg, right? And I had a lot of people in the comment section said, oh no, it's going to be one of those fake meat soy burgers. Well, you're going to be surprised to find out that today it was announced that it's French fries. Oh, Japan, you crack me up. It's a French fry burger with a meat sauce and mayo. And it's not necessarily for people who are trying to avoid meat. It's for those people who love potatoes. That's what their release said. And also going on in Tokyo is Fashion Week. If you come to Tokyo, I think you're going to be surprised how fashionable this city is. I mean, I've been, you know, I went to school in London. I grew up in the Bay Area. I've been to, I don't know, I don't even know how many cities abroad. A lot, like at least 20, 25. And I have never seen a country or a city that dresses like Tokyo does. Fashion is really, really important. And not only is it important, but it is a place where anything goes. And I do mean anything. So I want to kind of share with you somebody who has really embraced this. This is Sheila Cliff. She was born and raised in England. She's lived in Japan for 30 years. And she was always interested in art and fashion and fell in love with the kimono. She went deep, really deep, studying, experimenting, and designing. And she even completed her PhD on the theme of kimono, publishing a book in 2017 that is based on her dissertation. She's very unique. She's not afraid of color. And I happen to think her styles are fantastic. She has made breaking the rules more than okay. And I have learned she's become a bit of an icon. I saw an hour-long TV program on her work, her textile partnerships, her with the silk manufacturers here in the Kyoto area of Japan, and just was blown away last night with this program. So you can see that she has fans all over the world. She has inspired people to step out in kimono. I think this is some of her fans that live in the UK. And I love this quote from her because we do have a lot of fast fashion out there, which is fashion that you buy for the season and then you don't keep it. You throw it away and you do it again. And I think that is maybe good for certain economies to have cash flow, but in terms of sustainability, again, that could be an issue. So she's quoted here as saying, because, and she's talking about the kimono, because it has a long life, it's slow fashion. So it's never just about the surface. It has depth. I love that. And you can see that this is part of the kimono fashion that has come out this month in the Tokyo Fashion Week. I think this is really kakoi. And I'm going to teach you that kakoi word. It means cool.
かっこいい。かっこいい。かっこいい。
Kakoi. All right, everybody. Do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.